Let's go to One Nation leader Pauline Hanson now joining us live from Queensland. Good to talk to you, Pauline. You must have a view on this sort of thuggery from the CFMEU against the AFL, effectively saying that they're going to cost them money and slow down projects just because of who they chose to employ as their umpiring boss.
Chris, I couldn't agree with you more. I've seen the thuggery that's happened in the Parliament with the Labor Party. The ABCC that was brought in to help the workers out there, not the workers but the businesses and these contractors and people who had to face their unions and their thuggery and bullying. And it was addressed, and then the Labor Party came in and undid it. All these people that are elected Parliament, the ministerial positions, that's all handpicked by the Labor Party as well, by the unions, I should say, who's dictating to the Prime Minister what factions sit in what seats. It is unbelievable. And again, if you come to election time, people sued superannuation funds through the Labor superannuation funds. A lot of it comes to prop up the Labor Party. So people are actually funding the Labor Party through the superannuation funds, and this is the unions again. They've got too much control in this country. They dictate the terms to the Labor Party. The Labor Party and the Prime Minister won't do anything about it because they depend on the funds that goes to them, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's a shocker, and we'll keep a close eye on that one as well. I want to get back to the climate wars. They're off again. It's like it's 2007 all over again. You'd be pleased, presumably, that the coalition isn't going to bother with a target for 2030, but you don't agree with the net zero target for 2050, the big one that really most countries have signed up to?
No, I don't, Chris. I see our country going down the gurgler. I see it going down the drain. We're losing industries, manufacturing. When you got your big countries like Russia, China, UK, USA, and India, these are the biggest emitters with the European Union, so that's 6 of them, that are the biggest emitters in the world, not even meeting their targets. We've been told to meet our targets, yet we've got China. We've spoken about this how many times, 30% emissions. Then you had... And over all this emissions, now they'll attack the cattle herds, and as Ireland did, they culled about 160 to 170,000 cattle just to reduce their emissions. So they prefer to starve a nation, don't have food on the table. The farming sector's been attacked also, but they're all worried about carbon emissions, which is a joke, which is normal in the world. Chris, when are we really going to have a clear debate on this from the scientists instead of the fear-mongering goes on all the time? This is used as a vote catcher. We're going to see our country destroyed. We're seeing cost of living going up, all because of what? It just frustrates me to no end, Chris, and another thing too. Why don't we look at the atomic bombs that have gone off, all the wars that are happening around the world now? Look at the million volcanic eruptions under the ocean beds now. There's 1 million active volcanoes underneath the waters now, our oceans. All these things affect our climate, not emissions or cattle farting.
Yeah, they are trying to pretend that somehow we can control it all, which is farcical when you talk about the role of the sun, the role of those natural factors such as volcanoes and the like. The point is, I think the interesting thing here is by not subjecting himself to these nearer-term targets, by talking about 2050, Peter Dutton has a lot more time to talk about and probe those issues such as agriculture and transport, because with nuclear, if you come up with a plausible nuclear plan, yeah, we can have an emissions-free power grid in this country which will be reliable and affordable into the long term. Take a lot of work, take a lot of time to get it in place, but we know that can and will work. We only have to look at France and other countries to understand that. But how on earth you get farming and transport down to net zero, that is impossible without either causing an enormous amount of pain for everybody or destroying our economy.
Chris, don't forget, I asked Penny Wong the question for a parliament to explain net zero to me. She couldn't. So they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Like I said, if Peter Dutton ends up as the Prime Minister of this country and he needs votes, I promise the people that I will back him on nuclear power to actually bring it into Australia. We have to have it. We've got to have it. And the fact is that the Labor Party heading down this path is only going to extend more pain and misery to the average family out there. Businesses are shutting shop. They're going overseas. We are destroying our economy. For what? They've never really answered that either. Why are we destroying our economy, our standard of living and our cost of living? For what?
Yeah, for what? That's why they pretend it'll be the end of bushfires and cyclones and whatever. It's insane. Thanks for joining us, Pauline. I appreciate your time. Pauline Hanson there.